Good morning, or good whatever time it is wherever you are. Here now, it is Thursday morning at 8:30. And welcome to Daily Upgrade with Jason Andrews. My name is Jason Andrews, and I am a hypnotist, which is really cool because I can help change things on the inside to make things better. And today we're going to be talking about lunch, and specifically how much of an effect making your own lunch has on your finances if you invest the money. And while I'm doing it, because I am a hypnotist, while I'm doing it, I'm going to be changing things in your mind for the better. You may not notice it, but you might be able to notice that, wait a minute, something's going on. Something's happening. So enjoy that when you notice it. And let me fix my links and then we'll get started. Just got to fix my Twitter links. I had a lot of stuff on today or yesterday in my Twitter world. I had a couple things go pretty big. Oops. Why is this so slow? All right. But we're going to talk about lunches because one of the things that I posted about was that Zoomers will die on the hill of deserving or needing their eating out and DoorDash deliveries for lunch. We dig into the numbers. The results might surprise you. Now, I got huge amounts of replies, many of them very, very angry from younger people saying that, I don't care anything about what you say because you're a boomer, which is hilarious to me because I'm a Gen Xer, man. I'm a Gen Xer. We are above all this. All right. So here's what I want to start with, right? In case you haven't seen it, there was a really big post going around about, I think it was Kevin Leary, the guy from Shark Tank, the investor guy from Shark Tank, and he was saying how, hey, you shouldn't you should be eating $28 lunches, right? Which was apparently the average DoorDash delivery or eating out cost or something like that. He said you shouldn't be doing that. You should be making your own lunch and saving and investing that money. And the Zoomers just went bonkers about it. To be fair, a lot of them were like, yeah, I don't do that because it's not. But a huge number of them, really big number of them were very upset about this and just started blaming the boomers, for screwing up the economy and inflation and making everything unaffordable. And they may have a point about inflation. We'll dig into that as well. And house prices, which is also really interesting. There's a couple of surprising things about house prices I can show you. So we're going to get started on that, and I'm going to just first of all, I'm going to find a couple of these posts. All right, so let me find it here. Look, here's my post. You guys really don't understand how entitled Zoomers are about their luxuries. I didn't either at first, but they will absolutely die on the hill of I deserve daily $30 lunches. And I'm not going to go through the replies because there's so much screaming and profanity and yelling at me and insults and things like that. It's probably YouTube is gonna demonetize me. But what I want to talk about is how much of an effect this actually has, right? There were three arguments against this. Number one, nobody's buying $30 lunches. That's a big lie. I looked into the stats. 20 to 30% of Zoomers will eat DoorDash or eat out every single day. 20 to 30%. And it's much lower for the other generations. And the second argument was that everything is more expensive and it's not going to make a difference. It's not going to make a difference if I don't eat if I make my lunch for $5 instead of buying it for 28. That's not going to make any difference because the system is so against me. You guys screwed it up for us so bad that there's nothing I can do. And that was the one that really interested me because as a hypnotist, I realized that that's an emotional thing. Okay. That's an emotional thing. It's not my fault. I can do what I want because it's not going to matter anyway. So I thought, okay, well, let's look into how much it really does matter. So I just did this with Grok here. Make this a little bit bigger. So if you make your lunch for $8 instead of buying it out for $20, I said, okay, what happens if I take that $20, for every day that I go to work, if I invest that in a 90-10 Buffett portfolio, right? 90-10 Buffett portfolio. Warren Buffett famously said almost everybody would be better off with just a portfolio where you put 90% of your money in the S&P 500 index fund and 10% in bonds and you rebalance once a year. He said the vast majority of people will make a lot more money doing this than anything else. So I use that as my standard investment. Now, if I'm looking at this and I say, okay, well, how much money do I have at the end of each year? Now I want graphs in a table for every year for the next 50 years and a line graph to show. So you start with, this is just work days, not weekends, because, go out to eat on the weekends, right? That's fine. That's reasonable, right? You're not going to do this, every single day unless you really have to. So here's the assumptions. Your annual investment is 250 work days, $20 a day, 9.5% per year, which is basically what the 90-10 Buffett portfolio returns, right? Now, this put all the money in a savings account at the end of the year. This model has you put the money in a savings account and then only invest it at the end of each year. Now, daily investments or even weekly investments would increase these numbers. And by 50 years, it would be substantial. You'd probably get another 200,000-300,000 by the end. And if that number surprises you, just wait till you see this. It's assuming no taxes, fees, or inflation, because inflation is going to drop that from about 9.5% per year to 6.5% per year with some fluctuations. Some years there'll be zero inflation, some years it'll be higher inflation. And maybe I should run it again with real returns instead of nominal returns, meaning take inflation into account. But here's what we get. Okay. At the end of the first year, you have $5,000 more than you did before. At the end of the second year, you have $10,475. Okay, you just made $475 for doing nothing. Look at the third year and the fourth year. By the end of the fourth year, you've got $23,000. You just made $3,000 for doing nothing. By the end of year 5, you've got $30,000. Now, within 5 years, this will be a little more accelerated if you're actually doing it daily or weekly compared to annually. But by 5 years, you need what, 5 to 10% down on a house. So you're looking at a 300,000 to, for 5% down, that'd be a $600,000 house. So by the end of year 5 of bringing your lunch instead of door dashing it or eating out, you got a down payment for a house. Now, for some people, that's going to blow your mind. For some people are going to go like, oh yeah, of course. Let's keep going. Okay. These numbers are starting to get bigger. By year 10, you've made $27,000 extra in the market. Then it starts to get really big. By year 20, you've made let's see, where is it? By about year 21 or so, you saved 100,000 and you made another 200,000. Isn't that crazy? We're going to keep going. Let's say you start this when you're 25. Then by the time you're 50, you've got 450 grand. And that assumes you don't increase these numbers at all. By age 60, you've got 1.2 million. By retirement age, you've got 2 million. Let's keep going just to see what happens. You end up with almost $5 million. Pretty amazing, huh? Now let's look at the line graph. Goes so slowly, but then it just shoots to the moon. It just shoots to the moon. So there's all these people saying, hey, you know what? It's the fact that houses are too expensive. It's not the fact that I'm undisciplined or lazy or doing stupid things with my money. It's because, you guys screwed up the economy and everything's too expensive. Okay, well, 5 years of making your own lunch and you got a down payment on a house? That's not bad. That's not bad. Now, a lot of you who are of the age where you're like, oh, yeah, that's what I did. I did that when I was younger. I mean, raise your hand if you did. I did. I brought my lunch for years. Because I didn't have the cash. I couldn't afford things that. So that's pretty remarkable, I think. Now, what does this mean? Like, what is the mechanism behind this? Why is this such a problem for that generation compared to previous generations? Well, there's a good number of different things, and here's where I'm going to get into what is going on in here. The first thing is instant gratification. And this is something that has been always true for a lot of people, but Zoomers have it way worse. And I think part of this is the TikTok scrolling. Part of this is the social media instant things. Part of this is, I just go onto my phone, click, click, tap, 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 and food shows up. It's like this magic thing. And they don't get this sense of anything actually having happened. It's like Pavlov's dogs, right? He rings the bell, gives them food. Rings the bell, gives them food. Rings the bell, gives them food. And then later on, he just rings the bell, and they act like food is going to show up. So they're abstracting away all the stuff that has to happen for that food to show up, right? The place, somebody has to take the order. There's a whole, I'm not even going to get into how the restaurant has to set itself up and get all the food and get all the people and get all the processes in place and move everybody and pay people and all that stuff. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about, but that does have to happen. But once they get the order, somebody has to make it. Somebody has to put it in a to-go container and drive it to the person. And then the money has to transfer. Like, so many things have to happen there. I'm going to put this back on there. So many things have to happen there. And when you do that, and you take all those things and you just turn it, okay, well, that's just some black box that I don't know what happens. I just push the button and the food shows up. Then that person doesn't recognize all the stuff that had to happen to make that situation turn out the way it turned out. They don't get it. They think it's just a push button thing. And Amy Poehler said this joke one time, which was really funny. For boomers, it's all about the money, right? Boomers say it's all about the money. Gen X says, is it really all about the money? Millennials say, where's the money? And Zoomers say, what is money? Because the Zoomers don't understand, right? They go to a job, they do some work, and some number changes on some screen somewhere. And that number is their, the balance in their account. They don't get it. They see it, but they don't get it because it's just a number that pops into there and they just do what they do and some number changes. There's no connection there. Now contrast that to back in the day where you'd work for your week and you'd line up on Friday afternoon and they'd hand you the cash. Or sometimes they would actually, if you had an office job, they would go out and give you a check. They'd give you a check. And then you have to go deposit it, right? You have to physically participate in the process of money exchange. And then it became real to you. It became very real to you. Okay. Just try this. Spend a week only using cash for everything you possibly can. You go, oh my gosh, every time you hand over money, you're like, oh, I'm giving up money to get something. It's not just swipe a thing, scan a phone, and suddenly it's mine, right? That abstracts too much of it out. You hand over the money, you get your thing, and then it turns into this, oh, my nervous system understands that this is a value exchange. Okay, Zoomers don't get that. Zoomers don't have that. They don't have that. I push buttons and numbers change, and sometimes food magically appears at my place. It's not real to them. So the more real you can make that, and if you've got any experiences like that where you actually paid physical money in exchange to get something, and you can realize that that's a different experience, and that is essentially what's really happening when even if you're just doing taps on a phone to purchase something. What's really happening is that money is changing hands. And when you apply that real feeling, that real experience to the tap, tap, tap of exchanging money, suddenly everything's different. Suddenly your spending is different. It's a different experience. And that can make a big difference in how you do things, can't it? Because it's real. Your nervous system recognizes it, not just some little part of your brain that analyzes things, but your real full nervous system does. And that makes a difference. Make sense? So, if you found this interesting or useful, also feel free to forward it to any Zoomers you know. Let's help the world. Let's make the world a better place. Thank you for being here with me today. If you found this useful or interesting, feel free to share it with others. Check out the links in the description. As a hypnotist, I may be able to help you with something else. And when you like and subscribe, it helps expand my reach because my job is to help people. And the algorithm really likes it when people like and subscribe. So that can help. But that's up to you. So have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Tomorrow morning is going to be Feel Good Fridays. And, this is relevant because I think so many Zoomers want to eat out every day because that's the only way they can feel good. That's how they feel good. That's how they don't feel poor. That's how they don't feel trapped or oppressed or sad or behind or whatever. You don't need any of that. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, we'll do Feel Good Fridays. You'll feel good naturally and holistically in your own system, in your own space, in your own space your body is occupying. And from there, you don't need to chase things. You don't need to chase going out to lunch. You don't need to chase that because you already feel good. So feel good with me tomorrow at 8:30. And